Hey guys, we're sticking with aircraft this week. This time we're looking at Eduard's 1/48 scale P-51D-5 kit. Let's open her on up and take a look. Oops. So, starting off, and I'm keeping this in the bagging as just one of the canopies has come loose, is our clear parts. Edward's done a pretty decent job with these. No real complaints. The surface detailing on them is satisfactory. We've got 3 different options for the canopy, as well as all the various lights and what have you. Nothing really to, complain about there. Moving on. First up, we've got our lower and upper wing sections, as well as various control surfaces and flaps. Here, Edward's done a pretty good job capturing all the little details and rivets, panel lining, all of that. So it should build up quite nicely. Again, no real issue that I can come up with as far as, things that might stand out to be problematic. No real signs of ejector pin marks in anywhere that, would be visible. So far, so good. Much the same can be said here with our 2 fuselage halves. Again, they do a left-right split, as well as our rudder. Again, no real issue here. Now, in an interesting move, Edward's chosen to split the various style of props into 2 sub-assemblies. Now, this gives you the advantage of, allows you to a little more easily mask and ensure alignment. Excuse me. But at the same time, it does mean that you will have a little bit of a seam. Now, a lot of that will be hidden by the nose cone, but it is something to be aware of. Now, much like the Revell Mustang we looked at some time ago, they've chosen to split off the various controls and surface detail for inside the cockpit into these separate sidewall parts. This obviously gives you a major advantage of you can a little more easily paint some of these details, but does mean you will have to deal with attaching them and ensuring alignment. But I like the fact that you can paint them separately. Beyond this, again, very nicely detailed. We also got 2 different options for the instrument panel. Again, nice inclusion. We also have several different options for some of the other sub-control sections, and various other odds and end parts on this sprue. We also have got our little tail wheel gear bay. Not much as far as detailing in that, but next up we have our main gear sub-assembly, as well as our exhausts, main gear doors, and some additional sub-assemblies, as well as our main wheels, landing gear, and a couple of little other odds and end parts. Do like that we have this full breakout, as that will make painting a lot easier, as obviously you can paint it probably still on the sprue, and then once you assemble it, do just a minor touch up to getting areas that may have gotten damaged in the gluing process. And that should make sure you've got a total and even coverage. Again, no real surface abnormalities. Nothing that jumps out as potentially areas that could cause you problems. I mean, this kit is basically one of the most straightforward as far as I've seen. I mean, it's all basic modeling with this kit. Last sprue, we've got a couple options for bombs and 2 options for drop tanks. And that's about it. Now, since this is the Profit Pack version, we're also given this small ferret of photo etch on mine, and I cannot attest if this is a general fault. Some of the instrument gauges are a little hard to see. Don't know if it's just a bad print on mine or if this is something systemic. In addition to the photo etch, we're also given this set of masks. If you used an Eduard mask, you know they're one of the best things in modeling. So, kit comes with 2 sets of decals. First set for the stencils pretty much covers all the axis and odds and ends you'll need. And then next is our main decal sheet, including checkered pattern for one of the aircraft styles and all the individual details, as well as a very nice bit of nose art. Now, because they had this pretty well on there, I don't know if they used some type of filament or just attached it straight away after they printed. It has a little bit of an odd film on some of the decals. Again, I don't know if this is adhesive or just it going on right after it came out of the printer. So that is something to be aware of. I'm hoping that will come off when I go to dip them in water to use them. So give me a second to get the parts back in the box and we'll go on to the instructions. So, like majority of all of aircraft kits, we start with the cockpit, building that up. Because of the amount of photo etch that goes into the cockpit, this section is going to take a lot more effort. So I would say definitely take your time, slow down, check to make sure you've got all the parts on you need to get on. And since you do need to get these side panels done as well, you want to make sure you do a fair amount of dry fitting. Make sure you're getting the alignment of everything, so when you go to sandwich everything together, you're not going to run into any type of major fit issue. Arguably, that's one area, if you get it wrong, it's going to just cause you all sorts of problems down the road. But if you can get it right the first time, you should hopefully have no issues. As I mentioned before, after we get the cockpit, build up the main gear assembly, which thankfully they've broken down very smartly. That then goes in. You do have to do a little bit of filling to do the Dash 5 version. As it appears, they do include a little stencil for rescribing one of the panels you need to put on, for attaching the wings to the fuselage, finishing up in the cockpit with the instrument panel, and then moving on to the landing gear and some underside details for closing everything up and masking everything off. Overall, it's a pretty straightforward build. There's no real sort of gotchas. Just most of your time will be spent doing the cockpit up, as after that everything should flow very smoothly and logically. Now we're given several different options for markings. Total, all of them, with the exception of first couple, are natural metal finish with various styles of nose markings. Overall, it's a pretty basic kit. I mean, that's about all I can really say. I mean, I guess you could almost say it's, what you would think of when you think of a model aircraft kit. Obviously, as I said, cockpit will take some doing. You will want to make sure you're checking off all the items that need to go in there, making sure everything's painted right. Big thing being alignment, just because of those side panels. But after that, it's straight sailing from there. So that was a look at Eduard's 1/48 scale P-51D-5 kit. You know, great example of model subject. So until next time.